Do you think that Risk is an underrated masterpiece? Do you think that Rust in Peace is a piece of shit? Today, we are going to talk about Megadeth discography, and we're going to give you a full discography ranking, including their final album, and we'll give you the whole truth if you can handle it. And we not only give you one truth, but we'll give you two truths because I have reinforcements from the United States over there. Hello, Alex.
Hello. Thank you for having me back, Oliver.
I appreciate you being here. So get ready for the truth about Megadeth. This is Rock Kaput, two Germans talking about rock and metal. I'm Oliver. This is Alex. And let's start this thing. So, Alex, we just did an album review for their final album a couple of days ago. So, and you went a bit into your history with Megadeth. Do you want to expand a little bit before jumping right in, or do you want to?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of lays the groundwork and shows me as a fan from almost the beginning. So, uh, heavy metal kid, but I didn't gravitate towards thrash. I was more your AC/DCs and Dawkins and Van Halens and Iron Maidens and Judas Priest. And thrash just seemed a little scary to me at first. And I had two friends, though, that Master of Puppets came out March of '86, and they were listening to it and listened to it and listened to it over and over again and said, "You have to listen to this." And I did. And a minute in, that's it. I'm sold. I'm now into thrash. So now I want anything and everything thrash. And you find out very quickly, Dave Mustaine used to be in Metallica. Now he's in this band called Megadeth. So I picked up their first album, debut album, not long after I got Master of Puppets, which was, several months before Peace Sells came out. So that comes out in September of '86. And by now, I've played the first album over and over again. I love it. I buy it as soon as it comes out. And now I'm totally into Megadeth, even more than I was off of that first album. And a couple months later, they actually play a small club in my town. It's supposed to hold a couple hundred people. I think they packed even more than that into it. But I got to see them at the kind of first tour of Peace Sells on the East Coast of the United States. And more importantly, they also did an in-store right before the show. And so I got to meet the band. That's my original copy of Peace Sells that I got signed. And then years later, I had Ed Repka also do a Vic Rattlehead sketch. So prized possession to me to have that. And I remember that day distinctly, going into the shop, getting it signed, meeting the band, finding out for the first time how much of an asshole Dave can be, Dave Mustaine, that is, because he was not nice to the people there. But Gar Samuelson he was an absolute sweetheart. It took some time to talk to me, commented on my jacket, which had Megadeth patches on it. And so anyway, that's a great memory and really set me down the path of loving Megadeth. And then not that long after that, so that's November of '86, in early '87, I then see Megadeth open for Alice Cooper at an arena. So it was that quick that album exploded and they took off. So glad to see them when I did at that point and followed them throughout their career up until this last release here.
Nice, nice. So, yeah, I guess maybe we get into your memories with these albums as we go along, but I'd say let's start with the ranking. You will go first, and of course, we are going from worst to best. So we have 17 studio albums. So dive right in with your number 17.
Okay. So let me say this about the big four, and we talked about this when we reviewed the album. They really are my favorite. They're the one I stuck with. They're the one I have everything from, unlike the other three that have been hit or miss. To me, Megadeth is like pizza. Even if it's bad, it's not so bad, and sometimes it's good, right? So there's of all the albums, there are some that are weak, and I don't have to listen to all that often, but I will listen to their catalog back to front before any of the other big four. Having said that, at number 17, it should come as no shock, and that is Risk. So this is 1999. This is their eighth album. It's 12 tracks. It's 51 minutes. It's the last album on Capitol Records. It does get to, on the US Billboard 200, gets to number 16. It is the debut of drummer Jimmy DeGrasso. It's also the last for Marty Friedman. And this is important because as we talk about this, there were over 30 members of Megadeth at one time or another. So it's always a revolving door, and that changes their sound and their overall feel, I think, as we go along. So this is their attempt. And also, when I say there, I'm really saying Dave Mustaine, right? So when I say Megadeth, it's Dave Mustaine. Attempted kind of that alt rock or getting onto the radio stations. It's just not for me. The name comes from supposedly Lars told Dave to take some more risks. This is a big risk. Also, what bugs me, and I'll get into this, is, where's Vic Rattlehead? You have one of the definitive mascots of heavy metal, I'd say second only to Eddie from Iron Maiden. And over the course of time, he disappears from the cover or is misused on the cover. So that's already a problem for me. So get into the tracks. Prince of Darkness, 6 minute. It's kind of doomy. It's dark. That I like. We get to Crush 'Em, the fourth track, and Dave admits he's trying to write a stadium anthem for sports, events. Bad decision. It doesn't work for me. I'm really disappointed. And the lyric, "Heads I win, tails you lose." You're better than that, Dave. That's no. Next song is Breadline. To me, sounds like Thin Lizzy, not Megadeth. The Doctor Is Calling sounds like a Sabotage song, although Sabotage would do it much better. So, all in all, can I listen to it? Sure. Do I love it? No. I think it's obviously, I put it at the end of the list, my least favorite. Definitely seems to me that it was Megadeth chasing the success of Metallica and trying to be more commercial. Not my thing. So number 16, Super Collider. Barely better than Risk. So this is 2013. It's their 14th album. Follow up to 13, their 13th album. It's 11 tracks. It's 45 minutes. This is on Universal via Tradecraft, which is Dave's label. It's the last for drummer Sean Drover. It's the last for guitarist Chris Broderick. It starts off okay. Kingmaker is a decent opener. It has some promise. And then it sort of falls apart. It goes into Super Collider, which sounds like Megadeth AOR. It gets back to heavy on a track called Built for War. That I like. Track 5, Off the Edge, catchy chorus, okay. After that, I don't know. It just kind of goes in all kind of different directions. Dance in the Rain, a mid-tempo song with cello and violin. That has Dave Draymond from Disturbed. Not necessary for me. There's a song called The Blackest Crow, which is a country tinge song. It was one that he actually was looking for Miranda Lambert or Willie Nelson to appear on. That didn't happen. It's interesting. It's kind of, dark alt country, but again, is that what I need for Megadeth? And then Cold Sweat, and I mentioned Thin Lizzy before. This is a problem I have with Megadeth, and I love covers when they're done right. Very few covers from Megadeth have I ever liked. That's not a way to end an album. It's not necessary. So there you have it. That's number 16. Number 15, The World Needs a Hero from 2001. So this is their 9th studio album. This is 12 tracks. It's 57 minutes, the longest CD. It's on Sanctuary, the first of 2 records on Sanctuary. Billboard charts, it gets to number 16. This is the last for Dave Ellison until he returns to the band later on. And this is the only with Al Pirelli on guitar. So Vic is back, right, on the cover. But So. Yes, I get it's a alien busting out a chest. I'll get it more into the artwork later on. Ed Repka's my guy. That's but it's still better than having a mousetrap on the cover. Uh, a good opener. Disconnect, great start. Uh, then we get into World Needs a Hero. This is a kind of slow, brooding track, something he's known for. This is good. Works for me. Classic Dave and his political bite. Uh, then we have Moto Psycho, and I know that's sort of a fan favorite for some. Not a song that does much for me. We get into then the next 1000 Times Goodbye, this kind of pointless relationship song for me. This is a Bon Jovi or a Dawkins song. There's some spoken word banner back and forth between the two parties involved. Just not needed. The rest of it kind of is okay. I'm not blown away. uh the last track, or 11th track, Return to Hangar, a sequel to Hangar 18. Again, okay, but I've never been a fan when someone does a sequel of a song. I think it's a little odd. So nice guitar work on it. I'll say that. And then the longest song is the last song, when very cool, moody piece, stays in that pocket. You're expecting it to pick up, it doesn't, but it works for me. It's one of those kind of atmospheric songs that Dave is known for. Um, so that's my first three. So we now go to 14th is Endgame, 2009, 12th album, 11 songs, 44 minutes. This is on Roadrunner, gets to Billboard #9. And you'll see this as a pattern. I mean, they really, outside of the first album, they always chart. They're a band that has stayed relevant throughout all of the, years and the grunge and all of that stuff. It's the first with guitarist Chris Broderick. It's the last with James Lomenzo, um, until sick he returns. Dave Ellefson is back in the band after this. Again, not my choice for a cover. Where is Vic? Not even on the back. We just have Dave in all his glory. Vic does appear in the booklet, but I want Vic Rattlehead on my shirts. I want Vic Rattlehead on my wall, on my trading cards, and on my album covers. Right. So, a cool little instrumental starts it off. Then we get into This Day We Fight, fast and furious, heavy. That's the Megadeth you've come to expect. We then go to Endgame. That stands out versus what comes after that. The middle is just sort of okay. Hardest part, thrash ballad, like it. 9 and 10, again, good. And then we go to the last track, The Right to Go Insane. That's a great way to close it. So a solid album overall. It's just not a level. Move into 13, and this is United Abominations from 2007. It's their 11th album. It's 11 tracks, 48 minutes. It's on the first for Roadrunner, Billboard Hot 200, or Top 200. It gets #8. All new lineup now. We have Glenn Drover, his only appearance on an album, on guitar, James Lomenzo on bass, and then Glenn's brother, Sean Drover, on drums. And the cover was a contest. They did a contest, and the winner didn't even get picked for the cover. It's elsewhere, but the cover was something that Dave wanted to go with, digitally made. Again, let's get into the music. So, Washington is next. Here's your typical Dave again, attack on the political system. Love it. He has a line, how can there be logic in biological war? Now we're talking about Dave having some clever and good lyrics, which he's known for. Never Walk Alone, to me, is classic, what you come to love and expect from Megadeth. Then we sort of, again, the middle part is okay. Nothing stands out to me. We do have a Tout Le Monde, a reinterpretation of that with Christina from Lacuna Coil, and I like her. I like the band. I don't know that we needed this. This was going to be a B-side, and the president of the record label liked it and said, put it on. It should have stayed a B-side. So again, decent. It ends okay, just not blown away. And then number 12, my last for this first round, and it may come as a shock, but euthanasia. And doing this exercise and revisiting things, I used to hold this in higher regard than I do today. Uh, it's so this was 1994, the sixth album, 12 tracks, 49 minutes. It's again on Capitol, gets the Billboard number 4, and it goes platinum. So it was a big album. Uh, Again, no Vic on the cover. He is on the back, so great. But hanging babies on the clothing line. I get the metaphor, but I want Vic on the cover. So this is now Marty Friedman and Nick Menza, the third album in the band. So it was a fairly steady lineup up to this point with the Dave and the Dave duo. Starts off good, first 3 tracks. Now this has a toot line, the original version of it. I like it. It's good. Is it typical Megadeth? No. And does it start Dave going down a rabbit hole of trying to write radio-friendly songs? Yes. Elijah Fields, I like. It has some harmonica. It's a little different track for them. Again, then track 6 through 12, all good. Nothing stands out at me. It's definitely better than what came before it, but this is the first time, as I'm buying these albums all in real time, this is the first time where there's a little bit of a downturn in the quality, I think. And so that's my first 6.
Okay, quite a few surprises for me. Yeah, I'm a little bit shocked, just a little. Okay, so to get into this, I might, to people who follow our videos or my videos, I might start to sound like a broken record because the history with these metal bands for me is mostly the same, because I start getting into metal in the late 80s, loving it throughout the 90s, staying faithful to it, and then I lose interest at the end of the 90s, around 98, 99. I completely drop out of metal. I don't follow anything. I guess maybe here and there I bought a record or something like that, but not a lot. Um, so and then it took me 10 or 15 years before I got back into it. So with this, with Megadeth, I owned all their albums up until Cryptic Writings. The first one I bought was So Far So Good So What, which was new or the newest one when I started listening to metal. And all the other albums after Cryptic Writings I've heard for this exercise for the first time. So I don't have any relation, and it made it a bit hard. And but I gave them all a good listen. So let's go, I'd say. And number 17 was pretty easy. I have the same one as you. It's Risk. And you said that you think that Dave wanted to have some of the success Metallica had in the 90s. But I think he managed that before, actually, not quite in that same on that same level as they did, but I think that Countdown to Extinction and Euthanasia, you mentioned them both, were going in a similar direction like Metallica did with the Black Album or with the albums afterwards. And Risk, he goes a step further because he brings in elements from electronic music and country and whatnot. And I don't think this record is a complete abomination. Like you said, I think none of Megadeth albums are really complete disasters. But this is not a Megadeth album. This is not not in the wheelhouse of Megadeth. This is not the music they should be doing. They shouldn't dabble in techno music or to stay hip or whatever. So yeah, this is kind of misguided and bland. They wrote some good commercial rock songs. I think Dave has a great knack for hook lines and melodies, and that shines through here and there. But all in all, this is a risk he should have avoided. And yeah, number 16 is Super Collider, and after listening to it again today, just to freshen it up, I really thought about switching those two because Risk is kind of interesting in its weird choices, and Super Collider is just very bland and safe hard rock. It's not really bad, but again, no one needs this record, especially not in 2013. And this is something I found frustrating about the last 25 years of Megadeth, that they just when you thought they recovered, they put out an album where you thought, well, what's that supposed to be? And Super Collider fits in this category, I'd say. My number 15 is Cryptic Writings from 1997. Again, kind of a logical sequel to what they did before. It's commercial, melodic, hard rock, metal, however you want to call it. It's just worse than the album before for me. It starts off pretty good. Trust is a great song, and I love the Disintegrators, which is this punky high speed song that could have been on the albums before. Other than that, there's nothing that memorable for me, and yeah, it seems like leftovers from euthanasia for me. So this is my number 15. Number 14 is The World Needs a Hero from 2001. Here I also thought about switching those two because I think there are better songs on Cryptic Writings than on The World Needs a Hero, but The World Needs a Hero is a step in the direction where I want Megadeth to go. It's again, it's a bit more metal. They seem to remember what they did pre Countdown to Extinction and why people liked it. It's just that the songwriting isn't quite there. I don't like the sound of the album, and it seems terribly cheap. That thing. You showed the cover. That thing is butt ugly, I think. Even if the idea with Vic bursting out of a man's chest is kind of nice, it's just the execution is terrible, and yeah, it dragged the whole album down for me. You mentioned that one relationship song. I actually think that Dave did a couple of those, and a couple of those belong to my absolute favorite. So I think I like it when he does this kind of stuff, but this is just not a good version of that. Those spoken word parts, they sound kind of cheap. If it wasn't so old, I'd say the woman's voice was made by AI, which it obviously wasn't. But yeah, it's just not that good. And I think Return to Hangar 18 is the highlight. And yeah, it's what you said. It's kind of sad when you have to do a knockoff of one of your old songs to have at least one memorable thing on the album. So yeah, World Needs a Hero is my number 14. Number 13 is 13, which is another one of those albums which seem kind of frustrating to me because I really loved the album that came before. I think they were on a good trajectory with it, and then 13 is just again, to me, it's bland. There's no track that really stands out. It's um, not that aggressive. It's again a bit more mellow, more hard rock than metal. Um, Again with a horrible cover artwork. That's obvious in that part of their career, and they had great album covers up until I love the cover of Euthanasia, and after that it's and I mean that they sold well. They should have had enough money to buy decent artists. So I don't know what went wrong there. 13 just looks like I don't know something from a newcomer. Um, yeah, and on 12 I have United Abominations, which is the first album in my list where I say, okay, this is a good album. Again, horrible cover artwork. I totally agree with you. Don't understand it at all. Um, Looks crappy and extremely dated from today's perspective. Same. I have the same opinion about the remake of Atout Le Mans. Love that on Euthanasia and this version. I mean, if you cover your own song, you should make it better. And he doesn't manage that. So it sounds worse even with Christina on guest vocals. There are some good songs. Sleepwalker, the opener, I like. Washington is Next is a cool song, although I have a problem with Dave Mustaine's weird conspiracy theories that rubs me a bit the wrong way. Even if he means it well, yeah, I don't know. Gears of War is a good song. The title track is memorable. Um, Again, it's a bit it isn't quite where I want Megadeth to be, but it's the first album on here where I'd say I would listen to that one again. So these are my first six.
And this is interesting so far. We started off those last two, and then, but I will say this, and you alluded to with the one that you thought, okay, this is kicking in, it's good. Sort of from here on up until we get to the top ones, that middle part could have flip flopped. There's a, and also I'll say this: the earlier albums, at least up to a Risk, I really lived with and played and played and played, and we've discussed this before. Especially in your youth, you only have so much money, so you buy so few records, so that stuff I've heard it a million times, and it's ingrained in my brain. And the newer stuff I haven't listened to as much, so but still revisiting it, I found some kind of lackluster or just okay. So, all right, so we get to number 11, and this is where I will have 13. And Vic is back. It's okay, but it's also his back. So this is 2011. This is 13 songs, 57 minutes. It's on Roadrunner, and this gets to Billboard number 8. So Dave Ellefson is now back after his departure, and this is a combination of new songs and old songs, as in things they demoed or put out in different forms, and so it's kind of a weird hodgepodge, but at the same time, I think it's decent. It's also kind of interesting how he tied everything together with 13, as in the number of the album, the number of the songs. He was 13 when he started to play guitar. He was born on the 13th. So kind of everything lines up for him on this. And it starts off with Sudden Death, which I think is a great opener. Goes into Public Enemy. I really like that song. In fact, that's one that I played multiple times after I was even done the album. Great chorus, memorable track. Still has a snarl or a sneer, whatever you want to say. But this is, I think, where Dave separates himself from the others of the big four, in that he can really write a catchy, hooky, memorable song that's also short, right? They never really got too crazy with the length of song. And that's where the other three don't do what Megadeth does so well, I think. We the People. So this is, again, Dave on the soapbox, but to me in a good way. The lyrics come across nicely. We get to the 11 track Millennium of the Blind. That's one of those slower, doomier tracks I really like. And then the last two tracks also kind of continue that slower pace, and I like it. I just think that the flow is nice. Number 10, this was a surprise for me. So far, so good, so what? And this was again, let me give the stats first. So this is 1988. This is their third album. It's Capital. It's Billboard 200 gets to 28, and this is a platinum album. And this is one I've now been a fan. I've listened to Killing Is My Business and Peace Cells in real time and over and over again. And can't wait for a new album to come out. And this comes out. And I remember liking it, but even back then, not loving it. It just felt like this was a little off from the first two. This is also now Chris Poland and Gar Samuelson are out of the band. They're replaced by Chuck Beeler and Jeff Young for One and Only, and then they're out of the band after this. And this is where we start to go down the cover. Yeah, it's Vic's there, but I love Ed Repka, and this is not a follow-up, to Peace Cells. It seems a little rushed, even though it was a 2-year gap between the last album and the first two were a year apart. And it seems a little unfocused. It starts off okay. I think, the instrumental opening is cool. And then the second track is a blistering song. It Set the World Afire. Love it. And now we're in the cover tune mode again with Anarchy in UK. I'm a Pistols fan. You don't need to remake that. And I just think it's an okay song if it was a B-side or an album track or something. I don't like it here. It breaks up the flow. But then we get into Mary Jane. Great track. Love it all day long. Then we go to 502, and that to me is the weakest original on the album. I'm not that big of a fan. Then we go back to My Darkest Hour, which I love and has that feel of Mary Jane, right? These are two kind of moody pieces. They're fantastic. Liar, which is about Chris Poland, kind of in your face, heavy song. And to me, Hook and Mouth, probably I wouldn't say my favorite song, but one that I really like off of this because in the States we had the PMRC, which was a bunch of bullshit, and I hated it. And this is about escaping an attack on the PMRC as you could get. So love that. Love the lyrics. So again, re-listening to it though, I kind of remember why when I heard it the first time it was a little bit off. I think it's good. I just don't think it's as good as what is to come on some albums. So then we get to the ninth album. And when we did our ranking show, I didn't have it. Well, guess what? It showed up. So here's the cover. And this is what I had alluded to. I got the liquid filled record. So pretty cool. And there it is. I'm not going to go into great detail on this because I urge everyone to go and watch our review video. I will just give some stats. So this is 2026. This is their 17th, and we hear final album. I'm going to count 11 tracks and 47 minutes with the Ride the Lightning bonus track on there. And this is on a partnership with Frontiers and their Black to Black label. It's the only one with Timo on guitar. And it's the first with James Lomenzo back in the band since Endgame in 2009. I think it's a very good way to go out. Again, I'm not going to break down everything, but I think it is Dave putting everything out there, saying this is it, and I'm going to take him at his word and believe it. I think if this is the way they go out, he's ending on a high note, and this is also new with me, so I may listen to it more over the coming weeks and year, and it goes higher. But for right now, I'm putting it at number 9. And I will say, if you're a fan and a collector, and I showed you the liquid fill version, there's 20 some different color varieties of vinyl. So it depends on how much you want to break the bank or put in Dave's pocket. But if you're a fan of this album, you've got your choices. So okay, so then we go to number 8, and that is going to be Cryptic Writings. And this is the reissue with the black cover. We'll show this. This was a promo only version that they did here in the States in this kind of thick book. So this is 1997, 7th album. It is on Capitol. It gets to 10 on the Billboard charts here, and it goes gold. It is the last with Nick Menza. the fourth with that lineup of Marty Friedman, which was the longest lasting lineup, believe it or not, and even 4 albums, it's not much. And it would have been great to see them stick around longer because I think there was a chemistry there for sure. Uh, Again, no Vic on the cover, so that's kind of disappointing. Um, so, and I agree with what you said, and I understand where you put it, and I totally get the vibe of the Risk and the Super Collider. And I even made a note that I should not like this as much as I do, but I do, I remember liking it back then. And as I revisit it, I think Trust is a great opener, catchy. Say the same with the next song, Almost Honest. That to me could have been a hit had they released as a single. I like that. Mastermind, another cool song, layered vocals. It's metal, it's not thrash. And I think can say that about some other stuff on here. Metal, not thrash, except for the closer, FFF, thrashy song. So again, it may surprise some people to have it that high, but I like it. Number 7 is The Sick, the Dying, and the Dead. So this is 2022. This is their 16th album, 12 tracks, 55 minutes. Another that's on the Dave's label, distributed by Universal. And this is a Billboard, gets to number 3. First with drummer Dirk Van Buren, last with guitarist Kiko. This is 6 years between albums, so the longest gap, but Dave has his arm problem. There's COVID. Dave Elderson has his own problems. He gets kicked out of the band. So I will say great return to form for Vic. I like that. And I also like that we're back to the ... album title name check to the first few. So the opening track, The Sick, the Dying, and Dead, love it. Second track, Life in Hell, another great track. We get into Night Stalkers, which some people had problems with. I think it's a great song. I like the changes in it. I am an Ice-T fan. I think he fits well on the song. I have no problem with it. And then the rest of the album up to then is just solid. I think more solid than the album that just came out, song for song. And then we go to the last track, We'll Be Back. Has that Devil's Island feel to me. I heard a little bit of that riffage in there. But that, I think, gets back to the Megadeth that I really love. So when this came out, I really liked it. And going back and revisiting, I wondered, will it hold up? And I'm going to say, yes, I still think it's a very solid record. And then number 6, The System Has Failed. So this is 2004. It's their 10th album, 12 minutes, 48 songs. This is on Sanctuary. This gets to Billboard 18. And so they disbanded in 2004 after the injury to Dave's arm. This was almost going to be a solo album for Dave, but he puts the band back together. He gets Chris Poland back in here. Now this is no Dave Ellison in this one. I like it. Obviously, if I have it number 6, and I'm surprised that re-listening that I like it this much, but I do. A great opener, Black Metal Universe. Again, Dave's on point with his political bite. Strong song to start the album. To me, Die Dead Enough has a Alice Cooper vibe to it, a little late era Alice Cooper. And in fact, I'll say that there are many times when I'm listening to Megadeth and I hear very similar traits in vocals of Dave and Alice Cooper. Neither one are we going to say could sing an opera, right? They don't have that range, but they know how to stay in that pocket and use their voice very, very well. Again, the rest of the album stays very, very solid. A very political album, even more so than some for Dave. I think it ends on a strong note. So again, one that I'm surprised I put as high as I did, but I think it's a really good album for them. And so that's my next round.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, let me just go right next. My number 11 is their final album, Megadeth from 2026. Like you said, we just did an album review, so I'm not going to say too much about it. I will put the link down in the description. Highlights for me are Tipping Point, Let There Be Shred, The Last Note, and I Am War, which was especially moving to me. Um, is it a great album? No, but it's certainly uh, a kind of unusual one in that discography, not only because it's their final one, it has a very distinctive mood. Feels, especially in comparison to the last two albums, very stripped down and organic. So yeah, I urge you to listen to it and listen to it with an open mind. Not maybe not expect another Rust in Peace. This is a guy who's 64 years old, so yeah, my number 11. And now my the next four albums, that was kind of the hardest part of the ranking for me. Um, because I really enjoyed all these albums and I had troubles of ranking them. It could switch and change. I don't know. This is the ranking I came up with. Number 10 is The System Has Failed, and I love that one. I think it has, song for song, it's one of the strongest of their last 20 years. Um, I love kicking the chair, or kick the chair. That's cool. The Scorpion is a great track. Tears in a Vial. You mentioned a few others that I like as well. Yeah, just a strong album that you couldn't really expect at that point in time. So yeah, that after the albums that came before that was a nice surprise and a step in the right direction again. Very good album. Um, my number 9, you had this one way lower, is Endgame. Uh, and yeah, I think this is great. This is on par with their best albums. Very thrashy, very guitar driven, very aggressive, cool production. Um, I have nothing bad to say about it. The Day We Fight, This Day We Fight is a great song. I love the song called 44 Minutes, which is about, I think, a real event, a shootout between two guys who are shooting each other in LA or something like that. Bite the Hand is a cool song. So very good. Not that many high points or standout tracks. It's just very keeps the high quality level throughout, I think. So yeah, very good one. Number 8, I have The Sick, The Dying, and The Dead. The last two are a bit similar to me. They have a more modern production. Um, this one has a better drum sound than the one I'm going to talk about next. Um, but it has this kind of, yeah, compressed feel to it that modern records have. I don't like it that much, but it's still a good album. Dogs of Chernobyl is maybe my favorite. No, my favorite is Soldier On. I love the melody of it. Yeah, just an irresistible track for me. I loved it the first time I heard it. That's my number 8. On number 7, I have Dystopia from 2016. This is the album where I think the drum sound is way too clinical for me. Don't like it that much, but it's a very thrashy album. Um, Maybe the album where they come closest to their heyday, sound wise. The thrashiest one. Uh, Great opener. The threat is real. The title track is pretty good. I love Poisonous Shadow, which is a bit more melodic. Um, Post American World reminds a bit of Symphony of Destruction. Um, yeah, I don't like Bullet to the Brain. I think this one is not a good song. It's one of Dave's relationship tracks. The lyrics are kind of weird and a turn off for me. I don't like it. But other than that, that's a pretty good, pretty strong album. And yeah, now we're going to my sweet spot of the list because now we have all the albums I know from back then. And on 6, I have an album you um, realized you don't like that much anymore. And I was going into it and thinking maybe I don't want to hear it again because I didn't know if I would like it, but turned out yes, I still do like it. It's Euthanasia, and yeah, this is the album where they do the logical step after Countdown to Extinction. Um, you could say it's even more commercial than that one, but I still think that there's many cases of Dave's strong songwriting to find on this one. Great hook lines and melodies. I love Train of Consequences. That is a kind of almost funky track. It has this kind of shuffle beat, like a train. Um, Super great song. I love Atula more. In this version, at least, there's another more mellow song. I thought I knew it all. Love that one as well. Um, Blood of Heroes is a great song. I love the title track, so no complaints from my side. I love the cover artwork as well. So I think this album still holds up, but of course, the really great things lie ahead. But these are my middle six.
All right. I will say you say that title much better than me. So maybe you want to dub your voice in when you do his French song because that's not my strong suit.
Okay, yeah, I'm not a French speaker, so yeah, but
It's better than me. All right. So yeah, now we're into the serious stuff, right? The top five. And so my five is Dystopia. And you have some great things to say about this that I agree with. So this is 2016. It is the 15th album. It is 11 songs. It's 47 minutes on Universal distributed, and it's Billboard 3. And I keep giving the song length or the album lengths because I think it's important to hone down what I said earlier is outside of the one, they don't have these long, expansive CD era 79-minute albums, not I'm not going to say that some don't have a few too many songs, but not a lot of filler. And also they just weren't an epic songwriter. They didn't do like a Metallica do these longer 8 and 10 and 12-minute songs that some other thrash bands did that did the epics, and I like that about them. So this is the first with Kiko on guitar. It's only with Chris Adler on drums, and again, this is the last album with Dave Ellefson, who would be removed from the band after this. The cover is Brent Elliott White, and I think it is cool and a return to form of Vic Rattlehead for sure. I like the title track. I think that is a killer song. That is the only song that they won a Grammy for. So that's cool. Fatal Illusion. I like that. A blistering classic thrash track. Post American World, as you mentioned, has that Rust and Countdown feel. Great track. Emperor, again, has that kind of fire that I like with Megadeth. I like Foreign Policy, or I should say, I don't like Foreign Policy, which is the Fear cover. So again, we're getting into Dave wanting to be a punk rocker and in a bad way. So to have that song at all, let alone as the ending track, that's what holds us back a little bit for me. But I will say, this late in their career, this is absolutely to me the best album of the 2000s on, and almost makes you forget about Super Collider that came before it.
I want to add something because I forgot it. I was complaining about the production, but I think they were going for that kind of clinical sound because it fits with the topic of the whole album. So just to throw that one in, I forgot to mention that.
Oh, sure, yeah, agree. So number 4, Countdown to Extinction. So this is 1992, fifth album, 11 minutes, 11 songs, 47 minutes. It's on Capitol still. This is a big one for them. Billboard 2, and this goes 2 times platinum, their best-selling album. And we were talking off camera about sales. Forget Metallica, their anomaly. 2 million copies for a band of this ilk and an album of this sound. That's a big deal. So this is also 1992, right? So grunge has killed metal. Metal isn't selling, right? Wrong. Good metal, was still selling. So this is now the second with Marty and Nick in the band. This is the first with no Vic on the cover. This old dude there. Yes, you can flip it around and see Vic, but again, I want him on the front. So skin of my teeth starts it off right away. I'm loving this. Um, and this is Dave with the vocal delivery that I love. Then we have two tracks on here: Symphony of Destruction and Countdown to Extinction, second and seventh tracks, all-time top Megadeth songs for me. Brilliant songs off of a fantastic album. Other songs: Sweating Bullets, again, killer. High Speed Dirt. These are these fast paced. This is what thrash is about. This is in your face. This is it. Just fantastic stuff. I think a good close, but what comes before it is better. Maybe sequencing it a little different and putting what I consider one of the more killer tracks at then would have been a nicer flow. Maybe I'd push this up on my list a little. I like what's here. It's just you get so much up front that's great, and then it kind of tapers off. I will say that this was, their return punch to 1991's Black Album. So here's Megadeth and Metallica going back and slugging it out. And if I'm going to pick one, it's this over that. Number three, Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good. So the debut from 1985, it is compact. It's 8 songs, it's 31 minutes, Combat Records. And because this is the first album, they're just getting started, Billboard 169, but throw it out the window because what comes are much bigger things. And this is the classic lineup. This is the lineup I love: Dave and Gar and Chris. And the first appearance of Vic, which was a mistake, right? The cover art that Dave had a concept for, the label lost. They kind of put this together. The band was horrified when they saw it. I think for the time and for the album and the production that's on this kind of raw album cover works. I love it. You can see it hanging up. There's the original vinyl that I got back in the day. So I remember putting this on my turntable when I first got this and those first opening notes in that piano. And I'm thinking, what is this? And by the time the song kicks in, within a couple minutes, man, I'm sold. So I'm coming off of hearing Master of Puppets and liking that. And this was the album that really got me into thrash in a big way. Killing My Business, again, a top song for me. Skull Beneath the Skin, These Boots. This is again where he lost me right away, and I knew the Nancy Sinatra version. It's just a weird cover tune, and it breaks up the float album because right after that, then we go into Rattlehead, Chosen Ones, Looking Down the Cross. Man, is that stuff brilliant. And then we get Mechanics. And as we know, that was an early Metallica song when Dave was in the band. In fact, it predates that. He was in a band called Panic before Metallica. It goes back to those days. Dave gets booted out of Metallica. They rework it as Four Horsemen, and Dave puts it on here as Mechanics. I'll let you decide which song you like better. But to me, seminal thrash album, must have. But it is not better than my top 2. So what is 2 and what is 1? They could go either way. Number 2, Rest in Peace. Let me say this. We now know what my number 1 is by process of elimination. This is technically a better album, but I'll get into why I like that more. This is 1990, 4th album, 9 minutes. I keep saying that. 9 songs, 40 minutes. Capitol Records, Billboard 23, and this thing goes platinum. This is the first with Marty Friedman and Nick Menza. And this is now a return to form of Ed Repka with cover art that is only second to the other album I'm going to talk about. To me, they should have kept Ed like a Derek Riggs that did Maiden's album covers, at least not all of them, but a longer duration. But when I met Ed Repka and he did my little sketch, there seems to be some bad blood about payment and royalties and so forth. And unfortunately, that's why after this, you never saw him again. So this reads like a greatest hits, right? I mean, Holy Wars, The Punishment Due, they're at the top of their game. Hangar 18, again, another killer. Take No Prisoners, Five Magics. I could go on and on and on. It's just track after track is fantastic. And then we have a little instrumental that sets up Rust in Peace Polaris, which ends on a blistering note. So now we talk about sequencing from one to the end. This is a perfect album, a perfect flow. This is also the CD era. So they could have had this be a 50, 60, 70 minute. It isn't. It's 40 minutes. It's in and out. This is next level. This is also coming off of So Far So Good So What. You can see leaps and bounds that they made when they took their time and they had the right lineup, and one of heavy metal's greatest records of all time, but not my favorite because Peace Sells But Who's Buying has a special place in my heart and always will. So this is 1986. This is their second album, their first for Capitol. It is 8 tracks, 36 minutes, Billboard 76, and this thing even goes platinum. So same lineup as the first, again, near and dear to my heart, are Chris and Gar. I love them in the band. All-time cover, right up there with Master of Puppets and Kiss Destroyer and take your pick of Iron Maiden, but identifiable instantly. What can I say? Wake Up Dead, one of the fantastic, greatest, most brilliant opening tracks of all time. Remember watching that video on MTV all the time. Goes into The Conjuring, which is another incredible song. And then Peace Sells, to me, my favorite Megadeth song of all time, my favorite Megadeth video. The opening riff is so great. MTV used it for decades, right? As a little opening when they would do the news. Devil's Island, Good Morning, Black Friday, Bad Omen, all great. Now we get an I Ain't Superstitious, Willie Dixon Penn song that Howlin' Wolf first recorded. Again, it's okay as a cover. I just don't need it. And then it goes in My Last Word. So keeping this from being a perfect 10 out of 10, if it would have been one other song in there instead of I Ain't Superstitious, but that's a minor quibble in this. This is just a masterpiece. Is it the best album of the big four? Maybe we have something in the works to discuss that and debate that, right? But I'm going to leave it as this is my favorite Megadeth album, my number one.
Nice. Okay. So my number five is Countdown to Extinction from 1992. Um, Not much to add, what you haven't already said. Just a little personal anecdote, maybe, because when they toured with this album in late 1992 in Europe and Germany, that was my second concert, my second metal show I've ever been to. They were playing together with Pantera as support. And Pantera had just had this Vulgar Display of Power album out and were all the rage. Um, and I remember being in the pit, watching Pantera. A lot of people had been there for Pantera than for Megadeth, and they did a great show. Don't ask me about Pantera today. I don't like them that much anymore, but back then I loved it. And Megadeth had trouble keeping up with them. The sound wasn't that good, which is a problem if you're, are well known for high speed soloing and guitar pyrotechnics. So they were a bit of a letdown after Pantera. Um, yeah, but still, Countdown to Extinction is a great album. So many memorable tracks. Certainly a highlight of 90s metal. No question about that. Skin of My Teeth, you mentioned that one. Symphony of Destruction, I still love it. Even if I've listened to it, should come out my ears, but I still like it. Foreclosure of a Dream, the title track. I always think when I listen to it, Dave had this kind of. I mean, he was reveling in the fact that he was an asshole. I mean, that was his persona somehow. And here he's singing about animals going extinct, which is kind of weird. I always think it's somehow funny that he's doing this this song, and in the end there's this woman who's kind of reading the news about animals dying and how many animals will be left in the year, whatnot. And yeah, I always thought it was a bit funny, that song, but it's a great song, no doubt. um my number four, now I'm showing something, is Killing Is My Business. um a bit, always think it's almost a bit like a black metal album for Megadeth, because the sound is so weak on it. It's tinny and kind of hissy, but it gives this album a certain charm. And I love this time in metal where the albums all have these kind of cheap cover artworks, and they always smell a bit like foot sweat and cellar rooms and mold and stuff like that. Um, yeah, just a cool album. When I read the titles, I mean, it's probably it's too low in my list, but that is for personal reasons. Absolute classic. You mentioned it. Not much else to say. Definitely up there and on number four on my list. Number three, for me, So Far So Good, So What. And I love the album cover. I think it's totally iconic. I also love the back cover, especially that Chuck Bieler has, where is he? Has a cigar while drumming like a maniac. Cigarette, sorry. Yeah, I wonder how one pulls that off. Um, yeah, and this, I totally agree with you that this After Peace Sells and Before Rust in Peace is probably a bit lackluster, but it's the album I grew up with, and I listened to it when I bought it. I was into Anthrax. I think I mentioned that before. And then I bought that one because I saw the artwork everywhere, and I thought need to have something by Megadeth. Um, and I didn't like it at first, and so I listened to it over and over again until I knew every song by heart and loved it. And when I listen to this album again, I'm in my childhood's room with the headphones on, and I know every song. I still know every song, and I haven't listened to this album for, I don't know, 20 years or something like that. But it all comes back immediately, and there are so many cool things. I love the sound. It has this gleaming 80s sound with the reverb on the drums, and I love that. Into the Lungs of Hell, I knew I struggled with the fact that it opens with an instrumental. As a kid, I hated instrumentals, thought they were boring. Um, Set the World Afire is great. I had never heard a song by the Sex Pistols, so I also love the cover. Yeah, but I agree, Mary Jane and In My Darkest Hour, those are probably maybe they are my favorite Megadeth songs, especially In My Darkest Hour. I love that one so much because it's so angry and hurt and
He
moody.
wrote that after Cliff Burton passed
Yeah,
away.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Just very cool, and I love the part in Hook and Mouth where he's kind of spelling freedom with these gang chants. It's just it's so triumphant all of a sudden, yeah. And yeah, I if you say this album is a weaker one, yeah, you're probably right, but it's very deep in my heart. So
Yeah,
this
I
is
get
my
it.
number three. Number two, and I first had this behind So Far So Good So What, but then I listened to it again and I thought, well, this has to be above it. Peace Sells. I remember that back in the day when I bought it, I was not not scared, but this album always brought me in a weird mood. It's kind of a depressing and moody album. It has the song Devil's Island, where he's stranded on this island, or in a prison on this island.
Prison.
Yeah, that always scared the hell out of me. And there are many songs that are kind of yeah, moody and dark. Black Friday, Bad Omen, Wake Up Dead, The Conjuring. These are all kind of creepy songs somehow. I can't really put my finger on it, what makes them so creepy. But yeah, it's has a very unique mood, this album. And you're right when you're complaining about cover versions by Megadeth, but maybe this one on this I Ain't Superstitious, maybe it's the one that fits best on the album because topically it kind of fits in there. So yeah,
Sure.
I have no problem with that one as well. And so that leaves my number one, which haha, it's Rust in Peace. And I remember that I when this came out, I liked it, but not that much because it was a bit too kind of progressive and technical for me. I liked punchy stuff. I was into getting into death metal, and this one was maybe too yeah too technical and too sophisticated probably. So it took me a while to get into it, and I just a couple of years ago I realized, well, so many people hold this one in highest regard, and that was kind of new to me and surprising because I loved the albums that came before a bit better back then. But yeah, this is an absolute thrash metal classic, and people that say that this is maybe the best thrash metal album, I don't necessarily agree, but I you can make you can definitely make the case for it. Um, I love Tornado of Souls. Um, just a killer song, but all the other ones you mentioned are great as well. So Rust in Peace, if you don't know it, you should definitely change that. And yeah, if you're at it, listen to the other albums by Megadeth as well. So this is my
Yeah.
number one, and that is the ranking.
And I forgot to show this. They put this out in the US. This was
Nice.
a promo, the CD's in there. So that was a little promo coffin that they did for that release. So
Yeah,
pretty cool. I'm into all that kind of promo stuff that they would do
yeah,
here.
yeah. Yeah, nice. So we made it through 17 albums of Megadeth. Good thing we probably won't have to update this ranking because they just released their final album. I read just yesterday that Dave is thinking about doing a solo album, so maybe
Yeah.
we'll meet again and talk about him. Uh, I certainly wouldn't mind. Um, do you have anything you want
No,
to?
I was going to bring it up, and I find that funny because every album is a Dave album, right? Every album could be
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not, and that's a maybe it's a little harsh because he co-wrote songs with band members over the years, but still Dave's running the ship, and yeah, we'll see
yeah.
if there's another. But like I said, if not, I think it's a great way for them to go out. It's a to me a beautiful swan song if that's what it's going to be, and again, a band that has their place in history and certainly deserve it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and he should take some rest. I just read today, going into his biography, that, and I totally had forgotten about it, that he had another project in the 90s
Yeah.
with
MD
the singer of
45.
Fear, right?
Yeah, MD 45. Yeah, I
Right.
actually thought I had that. I was going to pull it for this as an honorable mention, and I don't. So I think I listened to it back then and wasn't a fan and didn't even buy it. But
Yeah.
yes, that's a good side note. Yeah.
Lee Ving is his name,
Yep.
right?
Leave
Yeah,
in.
yeah, right.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I'm a Fear fan. You know, again, I came from that hardcore punk background. Um, I'm not necessarily a fan of that guy personally, but I like Fear. I like their music, and yeah, that's kind of a footnote at this point in Megadeth history that many fans don't know that that album was
yeah,
put out.
yeah. Yeah, in the 90s, there was a lot of weird
Yeah.
stuff going on and happening and side projects and whatnot that came and left and not always made a dent. So, yeah. Okay, so we're finished. I hope you enjoyed our ranking the Megadeth discography. If so, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel. give us your comments, your lists. Tell us what you think about the albums, um, and whatever you like. Hope to see you soon. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you
Um,
for having me.
we'll always appreciate you being here. So we will see you soon. Lots of great ideas for videos, and thrash metal will play a big role in that in our future plans. And yeah, so have a nice day, and see you soon. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.